When the blessing finally appears, when the door that has been locked for years suddenly swings open, when the opportunities you prayed for finally start to flow, don't rush to announce it. Because some things that God gives you are meant to be protected in silence, not displayed in noise. You see, not every blessing is for public conversation. Some blessings are sacred. Some breakthroughs are so divine, so strategic, that even one careless word can invite opposition from those who were never meant to see what God is doing in you. When this money comes, when the abundance you've been sowing for finally starts to manifest, you must learn to walk quietly, because silence is not secrecy. Silence is protection. Silence is maturity. Silence is wisdom. God blesses those who know when to speak and when to stay still. The problem with many people is that they say destroy their own miracles by talking too soon. They announce a seed before it becomes a tree. They expose their promise before it takes root. And when the wrong eyes see it, envy begins to move. Words of jealousy begin to circulate. Negative energy begins to form around what God was doing privately. When God gives you a financial breakthrough, it is not a call to boast. It is a call to steward. It is not an invitation to show others what you have. It is a test to see if you can handle what you prayed for. God doesn't just bless your hands, He tests your heart. And He wants to know, will you be humble when the abundance arrives? Will you still walk quietly when the favor becomes visible? Because many people can handle poverty, but few can handle prosperity. Many are faithful when they have nothing, but they lose their balance when wealth arrives. God is not against money. He is against pride. He is not against success. He is against forgetfulness. When this money comes, remember who gave it to you. Remember the tears you cried in secret, the nights you went hungry, the prayers that you whispered when no one was watching. Remember how long it took for you to get here? Because money is not just paper. It's a tool that tests the soul. It exposes what's inside you. It reveals whether your faith was genuine or if it was merely a desire for comfort. When this money comes, don't tell anyone, because some blessings are meant to be guarded until they are fully grown. When God begins to lift you, when the doors of financial increase begin to open, you must move in silence like a gardener tending a sacred field. You don't scream every time a seed sprouts. You nurture it quietly until it becomes strong enough to face the wind. There are some seasons where silence is not weakness. It is divine strategy. It's not about hiding out of fear. It's about protecting what God has entrusted to you from the noise that drains purpose. When God starts to multiply your resources, you must understand that the same people who were comfortable with your struggle might become uncomfortable with your success. It's not that they hate you. It's that your elevation confronts their complacency. Your blessing reminds them of their delay, and your growth exposes their stagnation. That is why God tells you to move quietly. He wants you to build in peace away from the opinions of those who can't handle the new version of you. Wealth is not just a reward, it is a responsibility. Or God doesn't send it to everyone, because not everyone is prepared to handle the weight that comes with it. There's a spiritual discipline required to carry abundance without being destroyed by it. Many people pray for financial freedom, but few are ready for the spiritual maturity that must come with it. Because money amplifies whatever is already in your heart. If you are selfish, it will magnify your greed. If you are humble, it will magnify your generosity. If you are reckless, it will magnify your carelessness. That is why when the money comes, you must not announce it. You must sit in silence and ask God for direction. You must say, God, show me what to do with this blessing so that it multiplies your purpose, not my ego. Because divine wealth has an assignment. It comes to shift atmospheres. It comes to restore dignity. It comes to fund vision and heal generations. And that cannot happen if your first instinct is to seek validation from people who once overlooked you. When the blessing arrives, you must also understand timing. There's a difference between what is given and what is revealed. God may give you something now, but He might instruct you not to reveal it yet, because not every harvest is ready for display. Some fruits must ripen in the dark. Some blessings must mature quietly. When you expose them too early, you invite opposition that could have been avoided. Remember, it's easier to destroy a seed than to cut down a tree. That's why God tells you to wait. Let your wealth grow deep roots before you show its leaves. There will come a time when God will want your success to be seen, not for your glory, but for His. But before that time, He will test your ability to keep secrets. He will test your discipline in silence. Can you handle the blessing privately without needing to prove it publicly? Can you stay humble while others speculate? Can you keep building when others demand explanation? Because your silence will separate you from the ordinary. When this money comes, don't let excitement make you careless. Many people lose what God gives them because they move too fast. They announce too early. They spend without vision. They invest without discernment. They allow emotions to guide what should be governed by wisdom. But divine prosperity is not emotional. It's spiritual. It requires alignment, discipline, and prayer. You must sit before God and let Him be your financial advisor. He knows where your wealth belongs. He knows who should and should not benefit from it. He knows the traps that lie ahead. And if you keep quiet and listen, He will guide you. There's something sacred about silence and success. It keeps you grounded. It reminds you that everything you have is borrowed breath. Temporary stewardship. You are not the owner. You are the vessel. God gives and He can take. So stay humble. Walk softly with your blessing. Let your gratitude be private before it becomes public. Because when you learn to manage blessings in secret, God can trust you with even greater abundance. When the money comes, people will notice the change. They'll sense it. You won't have to say anything. The peace in your presence will speak louder than any announcement. You will walk differently, talk differently, think differently, not because you are proud, but because you are now operating from abundance instead of lack. God's blessing has a fragrance that cannot be hidden. But even then, don't speak about it. Just keep moving with discipline. Let them wonder what changed. God sometimes hides you in plain sight. He allows your success to manifest quietly so that only those meant to see it will see it. That's divine filtering. He doesn't want the wrong hands touching what He is doing in your life. He will keep you under spiritual covering until the time is right. Some people are meant to witness your testimony, but not your process. Some can celebrate your result, but cannot survive your preparation. That's why God hides certain seasons. He doesn't want to expose what is still fragile to the winds of jealousy or distraction. When the money comes, build what lasts. Don't use it to prove a point. Use it to fulfill purpose. The world wants you to spend to be seen. God wants you to spend to be significant. There's a difference. The world wants you to show off. God wants you to sow into eternity. Every currency you receive carries a moral direction. It will either draw you closer to God or drive you away from Him, depending on your intent. If you want your wealth to stay, learn to circulate it with divine wisdom. Help quietly. Give silently. Support those in need without broadcasting it. The greatest form of giving is when the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. Because when you give in silence, you protect your blessing from pride. You disconnect your generosity from ego. You allow your giving to become worship, not performance. The money coming to you is not random. It's part of God's plan to restore what was lost, to rebuild what was broken, to heal what was wounded. But you must protect it from noise. Every time you speak unnecessarily about your blessings, you open a door for spiritual interference. You invite conversations that drain your energy. You attract eyes that bring envy. Silence is your armor. It keeps your focus pure. And when this wealth begins to change your life, remember, do not apologize for what God gave you. Stay humble. But stay confident. You are not stealing, you are receiving what was written for you. You prayed for this, you suffered for this, you waited for this. But the reason you must not tell everyone is because not everyone knows the story behind your glory. They see the blessing, but they don't see the battles you fought to get it. They see the fruit, but they don't see the fasting, the sacrifice, the faith that held you together when everything was collapsing. When this money comes, don't tell anyone, because silence will become your most powerful strategy of preservation. Silence will protect your purpose. Silence will guard your peace. There are moments in life when God answers the prayers you cried in the dark, and suddenly everything begins to shift. Doors open that were long sealed. Favor appears from directions you never expected, and an abundance starts flowing like a river that had been waiting behind an invisible dam. That moment will feel overwhelming. You will want to shout. You will want to tell everyone that the storm is finally over. But listen, that is not the time to speak. That is the time to listen, because your silence is where God will give you instruction for the next phase of your blessing. The greatest mistake people make is that they celebrate too loudly. They confuse manifestation with completion. They think the blessing means the battle is over, when in truth it means the battle has only shifted. When money enters your life, new tests begin. Tests of loyalty, tests of character, tests of discipline, tests of heart. Before you were tested by lack, now you will be tested by abundance. Before you prayed to receive, now you must pray to manage. And in that management lies your destiny. Because God doesn't only measure what He gives you, He measures what you keep sacred. There is something holy about discretion. There is a power in keeping things between you and God. When you speak too early, you allow the spiritual world around you to awaken forces that are not meant to see your light yet. They're unseen eyes, invisible listeners who react to every vibration of energy that comes from your words. When you speak carelessly, you announce your coordinates to the enemy. When you stay silent, you remain invisible under God's covering. So when this money comes, let your gratitude be private. Bow your head. Go into your quiet space and pour out your thanksgiving in whispers, not in noise. Because gratitude is most powerful when it's pure, not when it's performed. The world has trained people to make everything visible, their joy, their wealth, their plans. But God works through those who understand the value of secrecy. The quiet ones, the ones who build without applause, the ones who celebrate in their hearts while their lips stay still. Those are the people who cannot be touched by envy. Do not underestimate the spirit of jealousy. It does not always come from enemies. Sometimes it comes from those who love you, those who sit at your table, those who held your hand when you had nothing. Jealousy does not need to hate you to harm you. It only needs to envy what you have. That's why God says, stay silent. Not because others are evil, but because not everyone is spiritually mature enough to see your success without being affected by it. When this money comes, your spirit must stay grounded. Do not let comfort weaken your prayer life. Do not let prosperity make you forget where you came from. Do not let ease silence your hunger for God. Because wealth without worship becomes wilderness. Many people get lost in abundance because they stop seeking the giver and start worshiping the gift. You must never let that happen. Every increase must draw you closer to God, not away from Him. Every new level must remind you that the source has not changed. Only the channel has. God gives wealth not to make you proud, but to make you useful. He blesses you so that you can become a vessel of provision for others. But He will not entrust His resources to someone who seeks attention more than purpose. That is why your silence is the sign that you are ready. It shows God that you value the gift more as a responsibility than as decoration. It shows that you understand wealth is not a symbol, it's a mission. When the blessing comes, you will notice something. The same world that ignored you will suddenly start watching you. People will ask questions. They will test your generosity. They will analyze your lifestyle. Some will disguise curiosity as conversation. They'll say, how did you make it? Not because they want to learn, but because they want to measure how close they can get to your blessing. This is where wisdom must rise in you like a shield. Not every question deserves an answer. Not every smile deserves trust. Not every handshake deserves partnership. Silence will save you from traps that words can create. The silence God asks of you is not about secrecy for fear. It's secrecy for strategy. Because when you move in silence, you allow God to move loudly. You create space for divine intervention. You stay unpredictable in a world that thrives on exposure. You become untraceable to those who wish to drain your energy. Silence is the highest form of self-control. And in the world of spiritual warfare, self-control is strength. When the money comes, use it to build structure. Use it to create systems that protect your peace. Don't let the money control your time. Let your purpose control your money. Remember, money is not freedom. Discipline is freedom. You can have millions and still be a prisoner of anxiety if your soul is not anchored in God. But if your heart is disciplined and your spirit is anchored, even a small income can feel like wealth. Because peace multiplies whatever you have. Do not let your new abundance become a source of noise in your environment. True success is quiet because it doesn't need to shout. Let the quality of your life speak. Let the way you treat people speak. Let your generosity speak, not through announcements, but through quiet transformation in the lives of others. God's richest servants are not those who are loud about what they give, but those who give in silence and trust God to multiply it. There is something majestic about quiet prosperity. When you learn to hold blessings in stillness, you align yourself with divine rhythm. You become like the ocean, deep, vast, and calm on the surface, but powerful underneath. Shallow rivers make the most noise. Deep waters remain still. When your wealth is rooted in God, you don't need to prove it. It carries a spiritual gravity that pulls opportunities toward you without you ever needing to chase them. Understand this. When God gives you increase, He also expects secrecy until the foundation is strong. You don't show a house before the roof is finished. You don't invite visitors into a construction zone. Likewise, when God is still building your financial stability, keep the door closed. Build quietly. Let the walls rise in silence. When it's done, when it's secure, those who are meant to see it will see it. And even then, you won't need to explain. Your fruit will speak for you. When this money comes, you will feel a shift inside you. You will begin to see that what once looked impossible is now possible. Your hands will carry power to create. Your words will carry weight to command. But with that power must come reverence, because money amplifies the heart, and only a heart purified by God can handle prosperity without arrogance. Pray daily. God, do not give me more than my humility can handle. That prayer will keep you safe. And never forget, wealth is temporary, but wisdom is eternal. The goal is not just to become rich, it's to become wise enough to stay blessed. Many people become wealthy but lose peace, lose family, lose purpose. But the one who walks with God, the one who stays silent and obedient, will experience wealth with peace, abundance with calm, and prosperity with purpose. That's the highest form of divine success. When this money comes, don't forget the poor. Remember the days when you had nothing. Remember the moments when you begged for help and no one came. Remember the nights when you were counting coins. That memory will keep your heart soft. Never let success make you blind to suffering. The true test of wealth is compassion. God blesses you to see whether you can become an extension of His hand. And if you keep that spirit of service alive, and the flow of provision will never stop when this money comes, don't tell anyone. Because true prosperity is not loud. It is sacred. It is something you carry within your spirit long before it shows in your hands. It is not the car, the house, the brand, or the bank account that defines it. Prosperity begins when you learn that your relationship with God is the foundation of everything you have. When God decides to lift you financially, it is not to decorate your ego. It is to demonstrate His wisdom. It is not to make you idolize money, but to make you understand the responsibility that comes with divine provision. That's why when this money comes, you must protect it not only from others, but from yourself. Because sometimes the enemy does not come from outside, he comes from within. The most dangerous voice that can destroy your blessing is your own pride. The moment you start thinking, I earned this, I made this happen, I built this with my power, you have already started drifting from the purpose of the blessing. God doesn't bless you so you can glorify yourself. He blesses you so that you can glorify Him through what you do with it. That is why humility must grow at the same speed as your wealth. The higher you rise, the lower you must bow in gratitude. When this money comes, remember that God will observe not how loud you celebrate, but how wisely you manage. Because to God, stewardship is worship. When you organize your finances with purpose, when you give with intention, when you spend with discipline, when you plan with wisdom, that is a form of worship. It says, God, I respect what you gave me. I honor the trust you placed in my hands. And when God sees that kind of respect, He multiplies your resources beyond what you can imagine. Many people pray for wealth, but few prepare for the character that wealth demands. Wealth without inner growth leads to corruption. That's why sometimes God delays it. Not because He doesn't want to bless you, but because He's building your capacity to handle it. He wants to strengthen your spirit before He increases your status. Because when you rise, you will attract not only admiration, but attack. Prosperity brings both light and shadow. Some will love you for what you represent. Others will hate you for the same reason. But if your foundation is God, you will not be shaken. When this money comes, learn to guard your environment. Not everyone deserves access to your atmosphere. Some people drain your peace. Some speak words that sound innocent but carry energy that poisons your spirit. Protect your peace like it's part of your wealth, because it is. You can lose money and recover it, but once you lose peace, everything else loses meaning. So when God increases, you create distance between your abundance and their noise. Learn the holy art of quiet separation. It is not arrogance, it is awareness. Understand this wealth carries vibration. When you begin to prosper, it changes the frequency of your life. It attracts different people, different opportunities, and also different challenges. And if you are not spiritually alert, you can be pulled into circles that look attractive but are empty of purpose. This is why silence is your shield. It gives you time to discern who belongs in your new season and who does not. When God lifts you financially, it is not only to bless you, but to teach you that giving is power. But even your giving must be wise. Don't give because you want attention. Don't give because you want praise. Give because it aligns with divine purpose. Some giving blesses and some giving drains. You must learn to ask God, where should I sow? Because not every ground is fertile. You can waste good seed and bad soil if you don't listen to divine direction. That's why before you give, before you invest, before you expand, silence yourself and listen. The same God who gave you the wealth will give you the wisdom to place it where it multiplies goodness. And when this money comes, do not use it to prove those who doubted you wrong. Don't spend it trying to show your worth to those who ignored your struggle. You owe them nothing. Your only obligation is to God, the one who sustained you when no one else saw you. The world measures success by visibility. God measures it by obedience. What the world calls luxury, God calls stewardship. What the world calls showing off, God calls waste. When the blessing becomes visible, you must remember the invisible moments that created it. Remember the prayers, the waiting, the faith, the discipline, the nights you thought it would never come. Because gratitude keeps your heart soft, and a soft heart is the only soil where blessings can continue to grow. When gratitude leaves, greed enters. When humility fades, downfall begins. Many people collapse under the weight of the very wealth they once prayed for because they forgot who carried them when they had nothing. Never forget, silence is not just about keeping secrets from others. It's about keeping peace within yourself. It's the ability to enjoy what you have without explaining it to anyone. It's the discipline of resting in divine abundance without needing external validation. That's spiritual maturity. When you no longer need applause to feel secure, when you no longer need to prove your blessing to believe it's real, you become grounded, unbothered, and free. That's when you know you are truly rich. Not when you can buy anything, but when nothing can buy you. When this money comes, learn the rhythm of spiritual balance. Save some, invest some, give some, enjoy some, but never worship any of it. Let money circulate through your hands, not through your heart. Keep your heart untouched by greed and your spirit untied to numbers. God wants you to handle wealth like water, fluid, humble, adaptable, always flowing toward purpose. If you ever feel the urge to speak about your success, pause and pray. Ask yourself, what will this confession produce? If your words bring peace, speak. If they feed pride, remain silent. Your silence will confuse your enemies and protect your destiny. Because not every battle is fought with weapons. Some are won with wisdom. Silence is wisdom. Silence is armor. Silence is proof that your trust is in God, not in applause. When God blesses you, your humility must grow deeper than your bank account. Stay approachable. Stay kind. Remember how it felt when you were overlooked. Remember how it felt when you were struggling. Use your wealth to lift others silently, not with noise, but with compassion. The world doesn't need another loud, rich person. It needs quiet healers who use what they have to bring light into dark places. When this money comes, protect your spiritual routine. Don't let comfort replace connection. Many people lose the intimacy they once had with God when their hands get full, their prayers shorten, their dependence fades, their sensitivity dulls. Don't let that be you. The same way you prayed in tears when you were waiting, pray with gratitude when you are receiving. When your wealth increases, your worship should deepen, because worship is what keeps wealth pure. God blesses you not to lift your status, but to expand your influence for good. And influence without integrity is poison. That's why your silence is not just about privacy. It's about maintaining purity. You cannot mix divine purpose with worldly pride. If you want your wealth to carry peace, it must be aligned with heaven, not with vanity. So when this money comes, understand it is more than income. It is instruction. God is saying, no, manage this as my representative on earth. Handle it with fear, with love, with wisdom. And if you stay faithful in that, more will come, because God trusts those who protect what He provides. Let people wonder. Let them guess. You owe no explanation for divine elevation. Let your discipline be your message. Let your serenity be your sign. The loudest sound of divine prosperity is peace, not performance. And remember this truth. When God blesses you, He is not only giving to you, He is giving through you. You become a channel, a vessel of divine flow. The moment you try to own it, you block it. But when you let it flow through gratitude and service, you step into the rhythm of endless provision. So when this money comes, don't tell anyone. Tell God, I am ready to serve with this blessing. I will honor you with this abundance. I will remain silent when others speak, humble when others boast, grateful when others forget. That is how divine wealth endures. That is how peace remains. That is how you carry prosperity without losing your soul.